For decades, the economic logic of automation was predictable. Technology replaced routine blue-collar labor, like stamping identical metal parts, while complex, cognitive roles remained safely out of reach. In Hollywood, that safety was built into an apprenticeship ladder. You started at the bottom as a staff writer and slowly climbed through the ranks of producers until you reached the top as a showrunner. But in late 2022, the introduction of generative AI turned that hierarchy on its head. Suddenly, a public tool could mimic the exact non-routine skills that were supposed to be uniquely human. People watched as algorithms generated plot twists, drafted dialogue, and replicated the emotional resonance of a professional script with startling speed. Creative professionals were no longer looking at a tool, they were looking at a competitor. The assumption that imagination served as a permanent firewall against automation had been breached. This raised the immediate threat of substitution, an economic model where corporations deploy algorithms specifically to replace human labor and reduce overhead. Writers feared studios would train models on their own past work to churn out so-so first drafts, cutting the collaborative writer's room out of the creative process. They worried about becoming ghosts in the role, kept on staff but hollowed out, relegated to merely verifying machine output. If algorithms handle entry-level drafting, apprentice roles disappear. Without those starting rungs, the career ladder collapses, stranding the next generation at the gate. There was also the risk of creative homogenization. A feedback loop of machine-made content eventually strips the artisan human emotion from the stories we tell ourselves. Without intervention, unchecked AI adoption threatened to turn a sustainable artistic profession into a low-wage gig, prioritizing algorithmic patterns over the diversity of human experience. In early 2023, the Writers Guild of America went to the bargaining table demanding clear AI regulations. The studios refused to negotiate, claiming the use of new technology was a managerial prerogative. In response, the writers authorized a strike. For 148 days, they held the picket lines through record heat and mounting financial pressure. Their leverage grew when actors and other industry unions joined the walkout, effectively halting all scripted production across Hollywood. The strike tapped into a post-pandemic national mood. As public concerns over corporate greed and job security grew, sentiment shifted firmly in favor of the workers. By late summer, the sight of writers, actors, and teamsters standing together had turned a localized contract negotiation into a primary subject of national news. The writer's strategy eventually hinged on a specific reality of intellectual property. The U.S. Copyright Office only grants protections to works authored by a human. If the studios wanted to protect their franchises and future profits, they legally needed human writers to remain the primary authors of their scripts. That reality forced a breakthrough in September 2023. The new contract designates generative AI as a tool, not a writer. An algorithm cannot be credited as an author. It also guarantees human agency. Writers can choose to use AI as a collaborative tool, but a studio cannot require them to use it. To protect earnings, the contract stipulates that an AI-generated draft provided by a studio does not count as source material. The writer who polishes it still receives full original compensation, as if they wrote it from scratch. By tying payment to human authorship, these mechanisms successfully removed the financial incentive for studios to use AI to undercut labor costs. Hollywood writers returned to work with creative output and their career paths legally protected from displacement. They established a model for augmentation, an alternative to substitution, where technology is used to boost productivity without removing the human from the loop. This victory pushes back against the idea that society must passively accept however tech companies choose to deploy their tools. Workers in law, finance, and coding face the same pressures today. While they lack the same union protections, the writer's contract offers a roadmap for how those roles might be reshaped. Hollywood proved that collective action can catch the flood of automation and channel it to enhance human potential, rather than wash it away.